like that. So the silver side comes up. Table the straw, shuttle pass, switch out, hand that to them. They can examine everything. One last tip on that, and that is that I can do it with a quarter. I just, for demonstration's sake, for the video's sake, you can do it with a $50, but you can do it with a quarter. Put white paint on a quarter. That way you can borrow the quarter, borrow the straw, do the trick, hand everything out. And if they don't like that, you just tell them, I don't care. I'm on a fixed hourly rate. Best of luck with your little lives. It just don't get no simple than that. It's the KISS trick. Maybe you heard some lame people talking about the KISS theory. Keep it simple, stupid. Keep it simple, stupid. They don't talk about the French KISS theory so much because everybody ends up pregnant. But here's how it look. This is about as simple as the coin switch as you could ever imagine. All you do is you got a coin in your palm, 1982. You remember the date. You got that finger palm, 1982. You say to someone, anybody got a quarter? Let's try something nutty and crazy. And they go, I got a quarter, Mr. Mandy. I got a quarter. And you say, okay, take a look at the quarter. Remember the date. And they look at it and they notice their date is in this case, 1988. I go, fair enough. And I just do a switch, just a flying shuttle. I go, okay, fair enough. What I want you to do is I'm going to ask you to hold on to this tightly. You hand them your 1986 coin, and they hold that in their hand. Okay, that's in their fist. You say, well, fair is fair. You put up some money. I should put up some money. I'm sure I got a quarter somewhere. You reach in your pocket. You produce. You take out their coin. You miscall the date. You go, what's mine? Oh, 1986. Okay, you say, watch carefully. I tap my fist against yours. We say the magic phrase, the power of Christ compels you. The power of Christ compels you. Then I open my hand. I hand the quarter to someone, ask them to read off the date. They say, it's 1988. They then open their hand. Their quarter to 1986. So the two quarters have very effectively changed places, borrowing Marlowe's Copsill psychology about getting ahead of them before you introduce a secondary object. This is key. You introduce the two objects, they automatically start to think about complications and duplications. But if you hand them a single coin, they get focused on that, and then you introduce a secondary coin after the fact. Then they go, 1, 2, buckle my shoe. 3, 4, he slammed my door. 5, 6, he does tricks. It's called improv. Try it sometime. I'll catch you later. This is a weird principle. This is a principle I came up with many years ago and was first in Sankey Panky. It's the wipe principle. Now let's look at the principle first, and I'll show you one of the applications I use it for. But there's a million different things you can do. The idea is that though magicians handle Sharpies all the time and mark coins all the time, lay people, of course, never mark coins. So they're not familiar with that process or even just how indelible a marker is on a coin. So what I do is by way of a shorter, the key to this is to sell it as an aside, okay? What I want it to look like is this. I want them to put their initial on a coin and then pick up a piece of tissue paper and wipe. While they put their initial on it, I want it to look like I just wipe their initial off momentarily and say it won't stay on. It's not permanent. It's only permanent and I ask them to mark it again. They mark it again. I say it's only permanent if we let it dry. So it's a real 1-2 beat thing. However, let's look at it. Because if I put a little, sometimes I'll bother to wipe it off, but for now, for explanation's sake, if I put a little ink on the piece of tissue paper, and I have a second coin, now what I can do is this. I can ask them to mark a coin. Let's say they put their initial on it, a big H, okay? I ask them to mark their coin. And I take the tissue paper with the coin concealed out of my pocket. If I do this, if I say notice, if we just rub it, the initial doesn't really stay on. And what I've just done, of course, is a switch. This is behind the tissue paper. I'm essentially doing the French drop, where I let this fall behind, their marked coin fall away, as I rub and come away. So this is the wipe principle. And then what you could do is to immediately extend now, say, but if I wipe it, it comes right off. But if you mark it again, they then put their initial on what they think is the same quarter again, and you say, now if we blow on it, like that, and let it dry, now there's no way it's coming off, go ahead, so rub it. It's a way to get two marked coins, or in a sense, two of the perfectly unique thing. And if you do it on the offbeat, I mean, whether you do coin and ball of yarn, or coin and passing, the sphincter of a passing greyhound dog, or whatever you happen to do, I've often done it coin and nervous midget, because midgets generally are nervous, but if you say, I'm going to make a coin appear in your spleen, they get very nervous. So there's a lot of different things you can do with this, but let me show you one application, very simple, where I'm using the wipe principle, but in a different way. I have them put their initial on the coin. I say, notice, I can wipe it off if I want. I say, but here's the weird thing. Examine both objects. They examine both objects. I take the coin back, do the flying shuttle, which turns over the coin so they don't even notice their initials on the other side. Go to my pocket for a book of matches, leave the other coin, come forward, and simply rub. This is, of course, a piece of flash paper. Simply wrap the coin in the flash paper. Have someone hold on to that. While they're holding on to that, I just take the lighter, light the match, like that. And I say, watch, you signed it. I say, watch carefully. I just light it here. Turn it back over, and their initial is back on the quarter. Hey! So we've learned about hen ping chen, coins falling out of the hand. Then we've learned about that wacky Sankey concept of chen ping hen, coins being tossed back into the hand. Let's take a look at another wacky Sankey concept, but let's make a circle. Let me show you. Hen ping chen, objects coming out. That's the traditional hen ping chen, okay? Chen ping hen, objects, as we've shown earlier, being tossed into the hand. But what about combining the two? What about letting a coin fall out of the hand at the same moment as I toss a coin into the hand? What can you do with that? Well, when I was first playing with this, I'd borrow like a quarter, and I'd have an American $50, or I could do it with a wedding band and perhaps a small condominium. And I'd suggest that the two are going to change places. I go, watch. And I'd have the $50 here, the other coin here, and again, all I'm doing is going to go down. I'm going to let one coin fall out, one coin I'm going to chuck into the other hand. Okay? And this hand's going to open like a heartbeat, just for a second, to allow the object to actually get inside. Okay? I would do this for a layperson. I'd say, look, in this case, here's a Chinese coin. Here's a $50. I'd say, watch, take the $50, just rub it. And now look, there's the Chinese coin there, and there's the $50 there. Okay? Now I do that for a layperson, and they give me a look like, hey, I bet you just chuck those two coins. And so it's not very deceptive. Let me show you a way to make it deceptive. Card case. Introduce a little mystery into the proceedings. You want to buckle the flap of the card case. You want to buckle it. Okay? What that means when I close it up like this, there's a nice natural gap between the edge of the card case and the flap. All right? What that allows me to do is if I happen to drop a coin inside, and I've given a nice bend on the card case, when I close it up, there's that gap so that I can shake it. But look, just a tilt, and the coin will neatly fall out, unimpeded. All right? So that's the technique we're going to use. Now, take the Chinese coin. I say, watch, you can drop it inside the case. I say, you can hear it. They do. They hear it inside the case. In putting the case down on my hand and moving it forward, all I do is let the Chinese coin fall out through the back of the case, and then I cover it up with the card case. All right? Now, if you get in the habit with the left thumb, if you practice a bit, the left thumb can actually tilt the card case just a little, enough so you can do hen ping chen off the bottom of the case. Okay? So from the right side, which you always work hen ping chen from the right side working to your left, from your right to your left. If I then just put a Chinese coin in there, apparently, and I say, here's a $50, watch me take the $50 and rub it. Say, look, now there's the Chinese coin. Here. I shake the case, the $50 which is beneath the case, I shake the case, they hear it beneath. Open up the flap and pretend to dump it out. Like that. Now you have a killer transposition where you drop a coin in a card case. The two coins seemingly change places in full view, and you're done. This is just a weird idea. The Gallo brothers. The Gallo brothers? No, sorry, the Gallo men. The Gallo men came up with an idea called the Gallo pitch. A brilliant, beautiful idea. Looks great. Came to be known as, just because it was so funky, the bitch pitch. This is the bitch pitch ditch. All right? First we got the Gallo move. The Gallo brother move, the Gallo's move, I keep saying Gallo brothers. The Gallo move is where you toss a coin from your left hand. Okay? Then you're going to apparently toss it from the right hand, but what I do is I put it in classic palm. I go into classic palm and I move forward. You combine it and it looks like there's one coin. Sorry, there's one coin, and there's the other coin. But what I do is let this one coin, I chuck the same coin. So I pick it up, move away, and I actually toss that coin. So it's here,
there, but because this goes in the classic palm at the same time as you toss the coin, the retention of vision of that coin going forward is really beautiful. So that's essentially the gallow pitch. Okay, it's a lovely idea, say, for a single coin traveling. It's beautiful. Now, what I did is I took it and I applied it to a lapping. Now, I'm not going to bother to sit down and do the whole thing for you lapping. You're going to hear it go. But watch. What I'm going to do is I'm going to toss the coin here, come back, and rather than classic palming the coin, I'm simply going to let it fall into my lap. Okay? But the effect on it is this. Boom. Boom. And then the cool thing is you can make a coin literally disappear from between your hands. About 4 years ago, on a national television station up here in Canada, I was asked to do a spot on a talk show. And they asked me if I could do something that's sort of about telekinesis and the Uri Geller and all that stuff. And so I came up with a routine. What I want to do is I want to do something not with a spoon or something strange, but something with a coin. And I came up with a routine. What I wanted to do was I wanted the bend of a coin to happen in full view with no switches after the fact. I wanted them to see the coin literally bend and have no switches. Now it's very much based on the ideas, some of the ideas people have done with coins, keys and spoons. If you get an American dollar, silver dollar, and you bend it, okay, pretty much at a, what is that, 45? Is that a 45 or a 90? What is that? Do you know? I'll let you don't know. Is it 45? Oh, you won't answer? Or is it 90? Is it a 90-degree angle?
I'd say 90.
I'd say 90. Thank you, brother. That'd be Adrian, camera guy. So, if you hold it in your hand like this, and if you just wiggle the lower flap, or the angle, you can get the strong impression of the coin visibly bending. Now again, as magicians, it's the kind of thing that we see. What magicians don't seem to understand is we have a certain perspective. It's a language. We speak the language of dimensions, of angles, and all these things. To a layperson, all they think is, what's the magician doing? Is he doing something with mirrors? What's he doing? And then it just seems to bend. So all you have to do is switch. So what I did is I had the host of the show actually examine this coin. She examined it thoroughly. And on the offbeat, I just apparently took the coin and put it like that. And all I'm doing, of course, is taking the coin, putting it into thumb palm, and apparently balancing the coin, or simply slipping it. I mean, obviously, I want it to look like this. I want it to look like I'm simply holding the coin in my left hand. But what I do is, since I already had this in finger palm, and I just let it fall into fingertip rest, is I took the coin like that, and I put it in the hand, okay? Now, in full view, what I could do for them now is make the coin apparently bend. And without any switch, I hand it to her. And it was one of those situations, you know how hosts, if you ever worked on with TV and people personalities, sometimes they can be a bit stiff or a bit, they can be stiff. It was one of those great moments where she literally, you could see her hostess face, everything, she expected something dorky. Her face fell away, and she just freaked out. She looked actually, 2 seconds later, she looked embarrassed that she let the TV see so much. Because television's about product, not so much about intimacy. It's technology versus community. Don't you see that? Greetings. This is a cool thing, requires a little one-time prep, but then you have a really cool gimmick. Get a wooden box of matches. Remove the matches, you're not going to need them. Push out the drawer. Get an X-Acto knife and cut a hole about half the bottom of the drawer off, okay? Now, with the sleeve itself, I've also cut half the sleeve off. What this means is when I slide the drawer back in, we're in a situation where it's all lined up from this side. It looks copacetic and fine, even from the back. But when we turn it over inside, we've got a hole going right inside. Now, take a card case, cut a hole in the card case, in one corner of it. Drop the match box down inside the case so that the hole in the matchbox is aligned with a hole in the card case. That's your gimmick. That's your one-time setup. Now you can do this with a borrowed ring, but I actually like to do it with a borrowed quarter too, a marked borrowed quarter, or they can examine the date. But I do think having the marked coins and marked objects gets them to get involved in the trick emotionally. It also adds a certain visual element, and it also makes it a more sort of, not convincing, yeah, ultimately a more convincing piece of magic, a more magic feat that under test conditions with initials. All that implication comes into it. Now, with this down here, all I have to do is take the borrowed quarter.